Hi, welcome to week 2 in English 1B. I'm really enjoying reading your poetry analyses, and I'll get that feedback to you, as I mentioned in my announcement, probably like Wednesday afternoon, early evening. Thank you guys for your hard work on that. You know, poetry analyses I think are really exciting ways to work our minds and practice our literary analysis skills. And this week you guys are going to get some more practice looking at a short series of short stories by Sandra Cisneros. You're going to be reading most of Woman Hollering Creek. I'll walk you through the syllabus course calendar in the modules section so it's really clear, you know, what to do this week to be successful. But I hope, you know, as you're reading Sandra Cisneros' work, you really appreciate her ability to use characterization to create really an effective story for her audience. I think she's kind of like a master at characterization. Also, she's a brilliant, I think, master at using figurative language like metaphor, simile, and personification in her stories. Now, one of the handouts you read this week will go over that in great detail, along with information about symbolism. And so that, as you'll see, you'll read that first before you delve into her work. But read with care and appreciation. I try to select texts for this course that I think you would really love and that hopefully will change your life as they changed my life. What I'm going to do now is kind of walk you through the site so you're really clear on what to do this week for this class, and also give you some information about next week. So basically this week sets you up for your second short essay that's due next week on this book. So more in just a moment, let me turn the camera to the computer screen. And here you'll see this is basically the end of your syllabus, which is your course calendar. Now, this is your homepage for Canvas. So basically, I've placed all the required assignments and readings in multiple places. So hopefully that way it's really easy for you guys to follow along. I think, you know, in many ways, looking at the syllabus course calendar is the easiest way to follow what's due when, and you can easily print this out and then have it, you know, at your desk or by your bedside to stay on top of things. So essentially you're going to be reading pages 55 through 57 in writing and literature, and also pages 1 through 23. You have a handout called Questions on Elements of Fiction and Symbolism and Figurative Language, which I think will be really helpful in you finding your own way into analyzing really any text, but specifically these short stories and the novels we'll be reading together. Essentially, in the Questions on Elements of Fiction and the Symbolism and Figurative Language handout, you're introduced to the literary elements. And so basically you'll be practicing recognizing literary elements throughout our course, but specifically with the stories in Sandra Cisneros' Woman Hollering Creek. And then you're reading basically the first section. There are several stories in this section. My friend Lucy, Who Smells Like Corn, great title. And so read all of those stories. They're pretty short. As you're reading them, think about what you read in the handouts, Questions on Elements of Fiction and Symbolism and Figurative Language. And then you see for the third and the fourth, you're reading more short stories that are listed out here in your syllabus course calendar. Again, her texts are really interesting because she does a combination of really short stories and then longer stories. And as you're reading, you, in addition to considering the literary elements she uses, consider how they're linked and why she links them. And then your assignment for this week is to work on your discussion post for the 5th. It's due by 9 in the morning on the 5th. And before you do that, you know, read pages 105 through 112 in writing and literature. So again, this is the syllabus course calendar. This is your homepage for the course. You know, I hope that it's easy for you to follow what's due by looking at that. But if it's not, you can scroll up to the top, and there's also the modules section. Now, in the modules section, you'll see also each assignment listed out, and then also there are links basically here that you can click on to actually complete the assignments, you know, as they're due. And so this was this last week, right? If for some reason you didn't upload your Essay 1 poem analysis, please do so ASAP. I understand maybe the first week of class you're still getting your groundings and maybe you didn't realize, something was due, but that was worth 100 points. So you want to complete it and spend time with it. And I'll look at it, as soon as I can if you upload it late, so we can make sure you get those points. And then, for the rest of the semester, do your best to kind of stay on top of what's due when. And follow, of course, that wonderful late policy in the syllabus of getting stuff to me within 24 hours of when it's due. If it's going to be late, but, on time is always the best. So again, you see the same assignments, reading assignments are all listed out for you here in the module section of Canvas. And then you'll see on the 5th, there's basically a link here you can click on to complete that discussion post. There's also a discussion section, and you can open that up and you'll see basically the same post. It doesn't really matter where you access it. I've put things in multiple places just so you have multiple ways of finding out what's due when and staying on top of things. So if you click on this, it takes a little time, and then basically you'll see what this discussion post is. It's great practice for that next essay in which you have a chance to write 500 words in which you analyze one literary element in Woman Hollering Creek. Again, you're reminded to read those handouts first and then, work on crafting your posts. I recommend always writing your posts and your essays in Word document or, on your word processing program, and then saving it in multiple places and then uploading it. So sometimes you might have like an internet connection issue, and it'd be horrible if you were typing in this little box and you lost your work, right? Because you'll definitely want to save it. So do your best to write a strong 500-word response to this. You want to use some textual evidence always to support your ideas, but remember your voice is what we want to hear. So you don't want to overpopulate your work with excessive direct quotations. We want your ideas on what you've read. And I think, looking through this, hopefully you'll have a clear idea on how to be successful with it. Basically, you're going to post 500 words, and then within 24 hours of that due date, so basically by the 6th, by 9 in the morning, you're going to respond to a classmate in 150 words. Now, there are a lot of ways to respond to your classmates. You can agree with them, you can disagree with them respectfully and explain why. You can suggest, other ideas for them to look at and different connections that you've observed. The thing is to have a dialogue and a conversation. That's how a lot of students, gain access to these wonderful college-level texts, is through strong conversation with their peers. And this is an online class, so we do that online, not in the classroom environment. I think if you read through the rubric, hopefully you'll have a clear idea on how to write a strong post to get a good amount of points. You always want to proofread and edit your work. I think, reading or writing aloud really helps us catch any typos or grammatical errors that we might have missed if we were just, writing it out flat without looking at it. So I really recommend you, type it up, read it through a few times, try to read it aloud, and make adjustments as necessary. Really, any piece of writing working through multiple drafts is the key, whether it's an essay or an email. And so that's essentially your work for this week. As you're reading for this week, I want you to also think about your next major assignment. And so that's not due this week, it's due next week, but it makes sense to look at the Essay 2 assignment sheet that basically asks you to work with some of these ideas in Sandra Cisneros' text as you're reading for this week, and kind of take notes that help set you up for success on this. So you can see this basically emerges right out of your discussion posts. In your discussion posts, the ones that you write, you're welcome to use some of that content in this essay. That discussion post is really meant to set you up for the essay. Now, the essay is not due for a while, not till next week, but read this through, and basically you're going to analyze how Cisneros builds a theme in 2 stories through the use of one literary element. And for that, read this through. Again, like with all the other assignments, there's a good amount of information here on it, and I'll, review this, of course, early next week, so you have a clear idea. But essentially, you're just working on a literary analysis that's 3 full pages, so just a little longer than your first one. And you're looking at how Cisneros builds a theme in 2 stories through one element. So, strong kind of aspect of her writing, as I mentioned earlier, is imagery, like metaphor and simile. That might be really fun to look at. point of view might be fun to look at as well. So she plays a lot, with telling stories from the age of people that are very young girls, but also from older women, that have had twisted love affairs. And so think about, why does she take on the first person point of view when she does? Why the third person point of view? And why does she view things and tell the stories through the specific characters that she does? So read through this. Again, there's, rubric, all the kind of fine points are really written out for you. And so, read that through this week so you can kind of set yourself up for success on that major assignment, which you can kind of see in, the modules section. That's not due until March, 9th, I believe, but let's confirm that by looking down here. Yeah, March 9th, basically, you're going to work on a draft for the writing workshop. I'll tell you more, about how to do that when we get closer, but just know that's coming and read with purpose. Now, again, if you have any questions, let me know. You should be able to, once we're finished looking at your analyses, view the comments in the this. Can you view the grade here, and then you can view the comments that we make. We try to write several sentences, usually like a nice paragraph, in terms of your poem analysis. What you're doing well and what you could work on for your next short essay. So make sure you read through those when I give you the announcement that they're available to view. And of course, any questions, just let me know. I'll be in my office Tuesday this week for most of the day. So I have some meetings, and so essentially I'll be there during my office hours, 9:30 to 12. Take a quick break, probably come back at 12:30 and be there until just before 2, in which I have a meeting in the afternoon. So if there are questions, just stop on by. You can also, of course, email me, and then I have Thursday office hours from 9:30 to 12 as well. My office is Shima 309. But, if you're a student that lives far away from campus, feel free to email me, and I'd be happy to answer your questions, okay? Take care, and happy reading and writing.